How's it going, everybody? I've got some more Magic for you today. We're coming to the end of the Final Fantasy release set with the new Edge of Eternity set coming out very soon, I think in about a week. So I don't have very many more decks to show off before the new set releases. I'm going to be showing this, maybe one or two others, just of decks that I've been playing recently and having some fun with, so they aren't as heavily incentivized on the new Final Fantasy cards, though they may have some additions that are pretty fun to play around with. In this deck, I'm playing Dimir Rats, which is just a deck archetype that I have had a lot of fun with since Bloomburrow at least, if not since before then. And we've got some really good addition. Well, we've got Sephiroth in here as a new Final Fantasy card because I think he fits really, really well in this deck, along with things like Lord Skitter, obviously. Skitter produces a lot of rat tokens for you, which synergizes really well for this deck to begin with, but it also hits the graveyard, which is really important right now because all of the most popular decks are graveyard decks. So, we've got that. We've also got things like Vren the Relentless, which is really good against graveyard decks too. Instead of going to the graveyard, anything that gets killed on the battlefield of your opponents gets exiled, and you create a rat token that is as large as however many rats you control. Persistent Marsh Stalker is really fantastic too, in that it is as large power-wise as however many rats you control. And the toughness never grows, but you can get it back from the graveyard as long as you have enough cards in your graveyard and you attack with a rat. Along with that, we've got the Azure Beastbinder, which I think is one of my favorite rats in total. You could use this in other decks, and it does still see play in normal Dimir midrange a lot, along with Ren right now, as a matter of fact. But it's a 2-drop 1/3 that whenever it attacks, it makes target creature or artifact a 2/2. So if it's an artifact that isn't a creature, it doesn't become a 2/2, but makes it a 2/2 until end of turn, and it loses all abilities and functions. So if you hit an artifact with this that isn't a creature, it just stops having any kind of functionality. If you hit a creature with this, it becomes a 2/2 and loses all other abilities. So if it's a flyer, it can't. If it's indestructible, it's no longer indestructible. All that. It's very nice. And then we've also got, let's see, removal package. We've got one Spell Pierce, Cut Down. We've got Go for the Throat. I know this is going to be cycling out soon, but we'll have to experiment with that. We've got a couple of Nowhere to Run, which is really, really important in my opinion. A card in this deck that I think is really good, that synergizes really well, not only with what is already in the package, but with Sephiroth as well, is Nashi, Searcher in the Dark. 2-drop 2/2 rat. It has Menace, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you mill that many cards. You may put any number of legendary and or enchantment cards from among them into your hand. If you put no cards in your hand this way, put a 1/1 counter on Nashi. So, Nashi can mill cards, which helps with your Persistent Marsh Stalker and Shoreline Looter. If you're not familiar with that, it's an unblockable 1/1 that draws you cards if you have 7 cards in your graveyard, 7 or more. But if you do not have 7 cards in your graveyard yet, it draws and then you discard. So it helps with that, helps get your graveyard full for that, but then otherwise it also can grab you a Skitter, grab you a Sephiroth, grab you a Kermonix, grab you a Vren. So all of these are really good additions or good inclusions in things that this can hit and return for you. You can also end up getting a Nowhere to Run. We've got Lifecraft Engine, which came out during the Aether Drift set, is really, really good. It makes this and any other vehicle you may have into a creature of the chosen type, and makes creatures of the chosen type other than itself get +1/+1, meaning all of your rats would get +1/+1, and it would become a rat. It has a crew for 3, which is pretty manageable, very doable, because you could easily crew it with a Skitter, Sephiroth, Kermonix, Vren. You could even crew it with a Nashi as long as this is out on the field. Can't hit it with the Beastbinder or Shoreline Looter, could hit it with a Marsh Stalker, so lots of options. And then we've also got Gix's Command. This is really good for the modality of it. Obviously, it could potentially be a board wipe, which all of your rats that are 1/1s, even with a Lifecraft Engine out on the battlefield, if you do the second part of this, destroy each creature with power 2 or less, with a whole lot of rats and Sephiroth out on the field, you could easily flip it in one go. It's caused some really good chaos, a lot of gain and drain off of that, so there's a lot of potential there for a really good just explode the board and gain a whole bunch of life, and they'll lose life. It's also really good just for making your opponent sacrifice something really big, making your attacks go through more cleanly, all of which helps with Vren out on the battlefield. So I really like this deck. I thought it was a good time to bring it back as an archetype. I haven't seen anyone playing it for a while, so I thought I'd update it just a little bit. And I know this doesn't have, like I said, the biggest showcase of Final Fantasy cards, but there really just weren't. I don't think there were any Final Fantasy cards that were rats. Maybe there were, and I'm just forgetting one, but it wasn't good enough to include specifically. And I know Sephiroth's not a rat, but he just plays so well into this, because Marshstalker doesn't care if it dies, it just comes back. Skitter creates a bunch of tokens for us. If things of your opponents dies, you get Vren. So really nice overall. And then, let's see, land-wise, nothing too crazy. I didn't include the starting town, though you absolutely could, just because we still have Underground River playable. Once it cycles out, there's a good chance that starting town will be even better than it already is. Plus, we're going to be getting Shocklands reprinted in the Edge of Eternity set, so obviously lands aren't going to be changing too much. But let's see here. We've got Restless Reef, just a few of those. It can help by not only milling yourself, because sometimes you're going to be up against Reanimator and don't want to mill them, but you do have cards like the Shoreline Looter and the Marshstalker that want to have you have cards in your graveyard. So I actually think the Restless Reef is really nice. We've got a couple of Lily Pad Village so that you can surveil, again, helping you fill your graveyard with whatever cards you want, and just helping you dig for what you need. We do have a Soulstone Sanctuary, which is good because it also counts as a rat, so it gets the buff from Lifecraft Engine, and it buffs our other rat synergy abilities. Sideboard, we got Spell Pierce, Disdainful Stroke, Blot Out, Dreams of Steel and Oil, because this is still really good, not only for hitting your opponent's hand and exiling a creature or artifact, but as well their graveyard. We've got Duress, Ghost Vacuum, Shoot the Sheriff, and Kaito, Bane of the Night. I actually really like the other Kaito, the 3-drop blue one, I think it is, in this deck as well, because you get so many creatures that are attacking so often, its loyalty can kind of go crazy. But I decided this one because it plays off of ninjas, and since we're in a rat deck, there are quite a few ninja cards as well. I think there are anyway. That's a rogue. That's a rogue. I know Nashi's a ninja. Maybe there's less ninjas in it than I think, but there's also the Soulstone Sanctuary. These all being rogues also really helps. Shoot the Sheriff has become popular, where Go for the Throat's about to cycle out. So many of these things being rogues, like the Beastbinder, Shoreline Looter, Nashi. Actually, I don't think Ninja counts. But we do have another rogue here. So lots of rogues, gets around a lot of that Shoot the Sheriff. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get into games. I know I've been rambling on for just a little bit. I'm going to be playing best of 1, going for 3 wins as usual. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Alright, unfortunately our opponent does get to go first, but we've got a pretty usable hand here, all things considered. Nothing crazy going on with Sephiroth right away, but we can start off with some Marshstalkers and the Beastbinder, which is really nice, and we do have removal. Looks like our opponent is using the Tidus avatar, which is really nice. Got the Cloud sleeves and a Chocobo pet. I'll open up with this Reef we just drew, because that's really good, and we don't really have any turn 1 plays with this deck unless we're using a cut down, which we just drew. Let's go ahead and start, though, with a Marshstalker. Our opponent hasn't played any creatures, so I don't think a Beastbinder is going to do much for us here yet. Having it set up before your opponent has creatures is still good, because it can get out and start transforming your creatures' things, but okay, now I think I am pretty happy. I would love to get this Lifecraft Engine going, but how about for now we get a Beastbinder down to start interfering with our opponent's things, hit a cut down on the Traveling Chocobo, because that is just going to be a nuisance and attack with our Marshstalker. Love my little Chandra Chocobo here. Probably going to be using this for a while, even with new stuff coming out. Okay, we've got a Mockingbird from our opponent. I think in this situation what I really want to do is just going to go with the Lifecraft Engine, pick Rat. It's going to make our things just a smidge better. And then I'll attack in. I'm going to be hitting this Chocobo so that it can't fly. Got a Saj Chocobo out. We're obviously playing up against Bant Birds, which is fine. I actually think this is a really good deck. I got unlucky and didn't get very many of the traveling Chocobos, which is pretty fun for this deck, so that's hurt, but it's alright. I don't know if I would have gone with the Saj Chocobo copy with the other bird, but we obviously have a target now that we want to kill to get back our Beastbinder. Which we can do with the Nowhere to Run without having to care about the ward. I wouldn't mind at all getting another land just so that we could double spell. It looks like we did, which is fantastic as well. Let's go ahead, start here, and get back our Beastbinder. So I could play out another Marsh Stalker. If I do that, then I can attack with the engine. I also like the idea of just go for the throat on the Saj Chocobo. So I think what I'm going to do for now is just hold it up and do it on the opponent's turn. Doing it now should be fine. Things are growing here, but we do have our Marsh Stalker as a fantastic blocker still. And if I really, really wanted to, I could get rid of the other Chocobo here with the Beastbinder, though I don't know that I would. Maybe I will. Maybe I just clean the board. That would actually be really beneficial for me. Beastbinder isn't going to be doing too much. But I think I can just take the 4, because it's going to lose its abilities anyway. And then what we can do here is get another Marsh Stalker down. I think what I'm going to do, honestly, is go with Sephiroth getting rid of the Marsh Stalker. I know the Marsh Stalker is still a really good option. Should have crewed it here. But I want to get some card draw going. We'll go ahead and make sure that's just a 2-2 going forward. Okay, and we got a good clean first game win. Did a couple of slightly risky plays. You can see how the Nowhere to Run is still really fantastic, especially with something like Bant Birds where they're trying to use Shelter by Ghost. We still see a lot of Shelter by Ghost right now in the meta, so even though Mono Red has had a lot of bans and isn't as popular, people are still using that card really frequently, so Nowhere to Run is fantastic for making sure you get around those ward and hexproof abilities. Next turn, no matter what they had done here, if they played a land, it wouldn't actually pump this, so we still got a favorable block. We had the ability to transform our Restless Reef. Our graveyard isn't enough yet for the Marsh Stalker, but we could attack all in with the Restless Reef, Azora Beastbinder, and Sephiroth, unless we do something else better to do. Could even crew the Lifecraft engine with the Sephiroth, since we didn't have anything to sacrifice to get a little bit more damage in. So, really good opening here. Let's see what we can get out of game 2. Alright, we get to go first, which is nice. We can start with the Underground River, which keeps up Spell Pierce for us early. Nesting Bot from our opponent. Not sure what that could be. Let's go ahead and get the Marsh Stalker down. We're going to be going straight into Skitter so that hopefully we can get these Sephiroths going. Yeah, you hit me. Make sure we get around counter spells here. Looks like that may have been what our opponent was waiting on, was to try and counter. Not familiar with that card at all. Got here. Let's get a Sephiroth going. Don't want to attack with Skitter just because he could blow it out. He'll probably kill this here, but that's totally fine too. We intend to get that back from the graveyard, and it gets us two more Sephiroth triggers. Perilous Snare is annoying, so we'll just say no to that. Alright, that was a really quick and easy second game win, but I hope you guys like that. That actually showcased Sephiroth in this deck fairly well. Obviously, we were going to be trying to get the Marsh Stalker back. We had another Sephiroth, which probably wasn't going to be coming out anytime soon. We could totally, though, use this Cavern of Souls for Human, just to make sure it can't get countered going forward. Go for the Throat was probably not going to be helpful here. It seems like this is some kind of an artifact deck from our opponent, though they didn't really get to play off of it at all. But on this turn, we were probably going to attack with the Sephiroth. I think what I would have done is go to attack step, attack with both of these, sacrifice the new one with Sephiroth, draw a card, then potentially play the other Sephiroth in. I don't know if he would block both creatures, but if he didn't, then we could also sacrifice the other rat for Sephiroth. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get a good match 3. Alright, Dark Slick Shores and Cavern of Souls is a pretty good start here. Looks like we're pretty alright. Hopefully we draw land. Opponent gets to go first, which is unfortunate. I swear that's mostly the case, though. I haven't watched through all of my videos back to try and see, but I feel like more often than not I'm playing second. Did get the land, which is real nice. We'll go ahead and try and get a Beastbinder down now and go into Skitter. Sephiroth could be on the horizon if that works out. Paramorphic Expanse is a strange thing to see. Let's go on down to Rat, get Skitter going. I don't know what they're doing with Paramorphic Expanse, but if they're trying to get the land back, we just ruin that for them at least. Springbloom Druid. So yeah, they probably have some amount of trying to get things back from the graveyard here. I think Sephiroth's actually a really good play here. Kermonix could be good too, and the Beastbinder's not bad, but I'm just going to go ahead and attack in. We don't have a land for this turn, so I would actually enjoy getting a land out. Let's attack all. I'm not even going to target the Springbloom Druid, because that would just make it able to block our rat. Okay, I think that's totally fine. Next we go with Sephiroth here, sacrificing, I think, the tapped rat, not that it really matters since they can't block. Did get the land for turn that we were needing, so that's awesome. We can hold up Spell Pierce. And a perfect opportunity to use it, in fact, as well. Alright, what do we want to do here? Kermonix, maybe? Get a little bit of poison going. Got a new Skitter to replace this one if we end up needing it. Let's go ahead and get rid of this opponent's graveyard by getting down another Beastbinder. Attack all in. We'll sacrifice the unable to attack rat. Got some more removal, which is fine. A little bit of poison, quite a bit of damage. Boiler Bilges from our opponent. If he hits... Okay, he hits Sephiroth, which is fine. We are going to go ahead, and I think the easiest way to close this out, and I'm not even gonna... see, make him sacrifice. How much damage we have here? 3, 6... Oh yeah, we're gonna kill him. So we'll just return creatures from our graveyard so that we can get Sephiroth back too. And attack in for the win here. So, another really easy win. Game 3 went pretty fantastically. Even if we hadn't had the removal, which we did absolutely, could have even double spelled on the Nowhere to Run, then these would have been able to turn that Boiler Bilges into an abilityless 2-2. So, I think we were still probably going to win here either way. Because even if we hadn't done the Gix's command, which was just overkill, could have, and I didn't have to get Sephiroth either, I could have given something +1/+1, so anyway, lots of really good options here, because you could have attacked in, used the Beastbinder to turn that into a 2-2, used Nowhere to Run to kill it, lots and lots and lots of good options to just get us through that match right there really easily. And they were on 8 poison at this point too, so Chromonics was going to be a huge problem if they did somehow survive. But anyway, there's 3 games. This deck's a lot of fun, and I just haven't seen anybody playing Rats in like a set or two, so I don't remember anybody messing with it in Tarkir. Obviously, there weren't really that many Tarkir cards. I don't think there were any Rats. I don't think there's been any Rats in these most recent 2 sets, unless I'm just overlooking something, which is entirely possible. But I thought Sephiroth fit into this deck so nicely that I could at least throw that in for some fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for joining me.